Welcome to another edition of Coffee with the Carrier. My name is Ken Doyle, and today I have Principal Sean McCartney, Vice President of Sales, Chris Brno, Regional Sales Manager for Southern California. Let's kick this off, Sean, and talk to me about Principal, the culture. What are you guys doing right now as a company nationally?
Yeah, I mean, well, speaking of the culture, it's a very rich culture at Principal. And we have different dynamics going on. If you think about Des Moines, Iowa, the epicenter, our home office, small town, Midwestern, big organization, a ton of people work there. And when you look at who works there, it might be a mother, a father, a son, a cousin. So it creates this culture of everyone wanting to do the right thing for the organization because there's so much ownership there. And while it's very prevalent in the home office, I think there's some aspect of that even in the regional area, and Chris could probably speak to that.
Yeah, I think our culture at Principal is great. I got in the business in 1991, and I think back to those days, the way companies operated was a lot different. I think though Principal is on the forefront of having nailed culture for the older folks as well as the younger generations coming into the mix. Very laid back, very results oriented. They give us a lot of freedom to make decisions in our local markets, a lot of empowerment. We try to do what's best for the customer always. And that kind of bleeds through just in the general attitude of the sales team and the staff that we work with locally.
Fantastic. So, Sean, you're out of Chicago.
Yes.
When you're not working on Principal, what are you doing for fun?
That's a great question. I love to cook. I've got a big family. I have 2 dogs, and my kids are extremely busy. So I'm constantly going somewhere, attending something, or getting somebody somewhere. That seems to be what I do now.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's all fun though.
Chris, what about you?
Well, for Kathy and me, our lives are a little bit different. Our boys are 18 and 20, so we're on the verge of becoming empty nesters. So we have a lot of time on our hands. So we love to go out, socialize. I'm a big golfer, so my goal is to get Kathy swinging the golf club soon. So as we kind of go down the Sunset Trail at some point together, we can spend a lot of time on the course together golfing. So right now it's just a change of life for us. I'm not running around like Sean is, and it's definitely a different feel, but a welcome one too. We're having a lot of fun.
You do play a lot of golf though.
I do.
He does. How about a sunrise? A sunrise journey.
Yeah,
I like that.
Don't make it so depressing.
Right?
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the partnership, LiSi and Principal. It's been how many years now?
Yeah, so I actually had a conversation with Mike Downing, who just celebrated his 40th anniversary with Principal. He started the conversations back in the early 2000s, and that conversation led to where we're at today. I think officially inked a deal, maybe it was 2006, but boy, I'll tell you, looking at the results over the years, we have close to 2,000 lines of coverage with LiSi, well north of $15 million of premium, so for us that's significant, and I feel like the partnership continues to get better and better, not just with the sales team members, but just also a general understanding of how Principal operates, how LiSi operates, and really strong collaboration. So it's worked out great. We really appreciate the partnership.
Thank you. And I think, it's going to evolve into this 2020, especially with the acquisition with AmWINS. Being able to take it a little bit more national from that aspect, and have you worked much with AmWINS in the past?
We have not. They're traditionally a PNC based firm, but now obviously venturing into the benefits space and have ventured. So we're looking forward to what that brings LiSi. So
yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there, getting into a lot of different markets, and especially on the specialty side. So that's going to be a great opportunity. Let's talk a little bit about technology. What sets Principal apart from the crowd?
Yeah, I'll just answer some of the things we're doing from a home office perspective. And while it used to be about developing a product and what's the next product we're going to come out with, what's the next feature in that product, those discussions aren't really taking place anymore. It's about how do we have this efficient connectivity, API connectivity. How do we make that experience seamless for the customer and for the intermediary? So it's all about investing in a customer experience, less about what the next product may be.
Right. Talk to the folks that are watching this, specifically, how would you differentiate EDI from API on some of the advantages, and what does it mean to a broker or the end users?
I kind of relate it to dial-up internet versus 5G. I mean, it really is a different experience for the customer. You're talking real time, you're talking ease of implementation. It's snapping a finger, basically. We've done a tremendous amount of business over the years with EDI, and I think it's a painful process for everybody involved.
Yeah.
A lot of file test feeds, the go-ready date's usually 2, 3, 4 months after the effective date. It's definitely becoming a very archaic way of doing business, and to be honest, brokers would ask me a lot of questions around why is Principal not developing more around worksite products, and my response to them over the last few years has always been, we're dumping a ton of money into technology, and now they're getting to see why that really matters. So while we might have a product or two short in worksite, this whole API integration has really set us apart, and definitely the brokers are feeling it, experiencing it, and their customers love it.
Yeah, I'd add the experience we have on the customer service administration side. When you have an API connection, the accuracy and the efficiency that's delivered is way better than anything we've experienced, even with EDI, speed to market as well. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. I mean, that is the way. And what would you say from your perspective? We've seen a huge ramp up from just using online enrollment systems as kind of like the catalog to keep stuff to truly doing online enrollment now. What has your experience been?
Yeah, same thing. So I'll go back 5 years ago where platforms to some degree didn't exist, right? ACA kind of spawned the platform to some degree, which is now gone, the platforms of yesterday. Today we have more than $400 million on a platform. Most of those platforms include an enrollment type front end and also an ongoing administration type process. So it's incredible just to see the growth. Even the growth over the last 2 years, it's almost doubled. So it's the way of the future.
Yeah, it's definitely ramping up quick. Are you noticing from your world and what you possibly are working with on the backside, from what we've seen, that there's a lot of new entrants into the market from even folks outside of the health insurance industry or specialty industry? We're seeing a lot of tech companies coming in. Are you seeing the same thing that you could use on some of your back-end services?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different players on the technology side coming in, and then there's some that have been around for a while doing new and different things. One of the projects we have going on right now is with Limelight.
Okay.
So Limelight for Principal is building our quoting capabilities, our new quoting system. And what does that mean to LISI? For example, the ability to have connectivity outside as opposed to building in the four walls of Principal, a quoting machine, call it. This is the opportunity to build something that allows for efficiency and connectivity for LISI and a better experience for the end user customer. So it's going to be like an end-to-end process that's in play right now. That's something that, 4 years ago we would never be having those discussions. So it's interesting.
Let's take it a little deeper. So you're talking about the quoting. Are we talking about customized quotes? Is it just a straight sheet type quotes, sheet rates, etc.? What will be some of the dynamics of the quoting?
Yeah, when I think about a sheet rate, I literally think of like a sheet of paper with rates on it, right?
Maybe I dated myself, right?
No, that's okay. We still get that request all the time. But having the capability of you being able to tap in and make a selection of 4 or 5 different plans that are consistent and they're always there, and to do it in a flash and have the proposal output done in seconds. That's a different world.
Nice. Since ACA has come on board, it's kind of changed the whole face of the industry. We've gone through that phase of, how long has it been now? 8 years?
About.
And we're getting into a second phase. What do you see from the environment, the landscape coming into your world that could change things that may impact a broker, a consumer?
So yes, ACA happened. I'll touch on that for just a minute. We were extremely fearful about what ACA was going to bring, right? What's it going to do to the under 50 market? It's going to destroy it. It actually ended up taking us to the next level because our focus has always been the small to medium-sized business space. It helped us double down on that space. It gave us opportunity because others were leaving that marketplace And we're very consistent in what we do, small to medium-sized business. That's our expertise. And it helped us stay in that space while others left. So of course our market share increased. And of course what we can do there helped out as well. So I'd say ACA was one thing. Looking to tomorrow, there's a lot going on with paid family leave, different leave acts that states are starting to acquire. That is going to change our game a little bit. So we've recently had to deal with Massachusetts, for example, got into the paid family leave space, and we had to make a decision of getting in or out of that space. Now we're seeing that same decision in 5, 6, 10, 12 other states have it on the docket. So we have to figure out how do we play in that marketplace. It obviously impacts our disability business, but if it makes sense for us, we may play in those spaces, we may not. We're sort of doing it on a state-by-state basis, but that is something that can change the format of our business a little bit.
With that said, anything in the California market that's catching your attention that you're watching closely or that could change a course?
Yeah, I'll defer to Chris on that. He'd probably have a better perspective.
Chris?
Yeah, I think for us, it feels like the small group space has gotten a little bit stale. ACA or not, it's gotten a little bit stale. So our approach from a frontline sales perspective is to get out there, obviously, and not only tell our differentiators, but bring value to brokers. And I'll give you an example. LTD, right? A lot of people, long-term disability. We believe it stands for last thing discussed in a broker meeting. Sadly enough, right? It's probably one of the most affordable benefits, and yet one of the least talked about in meetings. And we're talking about income replacement, right? So you think about employees, they insure their home, they insure their car, they insure their pet. How many people really insure their income? Not as many that need to, right? And so what we're doing different at Principal, I think, is taking a different approach to how we talk about disability and the importance of it. So I'll give you an example. California SDI is a very lucrative benefit today. 60% of an employee's wages up to $1,300 and some change is covered. So what does that mean to the member, especially as it relates to long-term disability? A lot of plans out there, they're straight vanilla, almost like a shelf product, 90-day limb, 60% to $6,000 a month. So what we're trying to do is educate brokers on looking at census data and looking at income levels and determining what makes sense from a plan design feature that's going to bring the greatest value and the greatest benefit to their members, to their employer groups and the employees we insure. And so it's been a really surprising talk and conversation around that subject matter, because a lot of our brokers don't realize how you can cut up and carve out disability programs to really meet the needs, the income levels of the employer group. So we're trying to reinvigorate disability. California had some settlement agreements back in the late 2000s related to standardizing contracts. So it really kind of took disability, put it kind of on the back burner, because everybody felt everybody has the same contracts. The problem is, that's true, everybody has the same contracts, but how you actually design the benefits, there's a lot of creativity around that can take place to really insure people for the correct levels. Add to that kind of the principal message of not just insuring from a long-term disability perspective, but also bringing in IDI, individual disability income, which is something unique to Principal in the marketplace. So we're trying to jumpstart what we feel is a little bit of a stale market specific to certain products. That's regardless of what's going on with the ACA necessarily, but we do feel like a lot of our small group brokers are looking for ways to grow their revenue. They're looking for ways to bring value to their customers, and no better way to do that than to talk about members' income levels and more importantly, income replacement.
Yeah, Chris, to pile on that from a national perspective or from a home office perspective, our messaging is all about the consumer. How do we educate more effectively the consumer on protecting their income, protecting their savings, protecting their lifestyle? So our mission is really about saving enough, protecting enough, and having enough so you can live your best life. So how do we get that out, that messaging out there? That's really what we're working on as an organization today.
So Sean, Principal, big picture, what would you say the 3-year vision is for the company to get from A to B? Where are you going?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that mission statement is really what we're going, that's our guiding principle. But I'll say, and I'll speak to our insurance businesses, it's really about steady. Steady kind of wins the race. We've always done the same thing. It's that small to medium-sized business space, surrounding the customers with our protection products, and we're not going to really deviate too much from that. I guess we've talked about this a little bit, but the only changes we're making are about technology and advancements in technology. Not changing our product set, not going up marketplace, doing the same thing, just doing it better and more efficient so we can have that better customer experience.
Staying in your core.
Totally, that's what we've done. And that attributes to the success Chris has had. I mean, you know exactly what we do. Small to medium-sized business, surround their customer with all of our solutions as best we can.
You've probably noticed that market share growing.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've been watching that in California, for sure. So Chris, talk to me about your XFactor. What should California brokers be looking at? Why Principal? What are they going to be putting in front of their customers?
Yeah, great question. I think if you talk to most of the brokers we partner and do business with, dental kind of comes to the forefront. Our point of service product in the California market is very unique. It's something the competition can't offer. So obviously as sales reps, we're out there trying to differentiate ourselves. So that product kind of jumps to the forefront. We love package sales, so brokers know if they sell at least 3 lines of coverage, they get another 5% off the rate. So incentives built around packaging the products. Brokers have also, I think the ones that have worked with us and the ones we try to talk to get on board with Principal, our retention strategy, we have a pooled renewal strategy for small group, so it leads to very predictable minimal rate increases. So our average case stays with us at least 5 to 6 years. So I think too, the X factor with brokers knowing when they place a case, to Sean's point, the steadiness, rate stability, competitive products, those are 2 of the big X factors. It's one thing to write the business up front, it's another one to keep it on the books for a while. So we've seemed to have done a really good job in the marketplace here with that. And to Sean's point too, technology continues to evolve, staying on the forefront there. And I think I'd put the umbrella of all of this under easiness, ease of business, right? So there's things we introduced last year as an example with voluntary products. I believe we're the only vendor in the market for true group voluntary products that has no participation requirements. And so...
Say that again?
We have no participation requirements for our voluntary products. Obviously, we want to do a really good job in enrollment meetings and maximize our participation levels. But one of the setbacks brokers have had for a number of years is they go out, they do these effective enrollment meetings, they sell the employer on these voluntary products that are going to benefit their members. They come back and they realize, oh, we only got 9% or we got 12%. Now we can't offer the product. So it's very hard to go to an employee and say, hey, we offered this great product and guess what? Now you can't have it. So we do really good with our voluntary participation levels, but I think brokers love knowing we've kind of got this safety net behind them. If we don't achieve a certain level, we're still good. So that in itself has spurred not only a lot of quote volume activity for us, but a lot of sales in the voluntary arena, which again, if we can make it easy and make it quick, brokers will repeat the business. And I think that's long-term, that's our strategy as we go into 2020, 2021. Make it simple, make it easy, make it fast.
Sean, let's talk about your broker strategy. We'll take it from a national and we'll kind of hone it into California, but what are you looking for the relationship with brokers? How do you work with them? You know, what is your strategy moving forward?
Yeah, no, definitely. See, we became very deliberate 5 or 6 years ago around identifying the right partners for us, the partners that have the business in that small to medium-sized business space, which I've mentioned before, and then are truly looking for the overused word partnership. But really that's what we started to do. We started to figure out, all right, let's double down on those relationships, not the onesie-twosie. So it's less about writing a case and it's more about, I want to write your block of business.
Deeper dives.
Totally. So we've done and built a ton of resources around going deeper with the right partners. And we've brought that to the local scene as well, and Chris can talk about that.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with our Privilege Partner Program. And what we do, I relate it to a little bit like the airline business, right? You have your Advantage programs, you get special perks. It all starts with the right conversation and finding the right broker to partner with. But I think Principal, while we focus a lot on small group business, we're very effective at talking about strategy with brokers and figuring out what their pain points are and where they want to go with their business. And through that conversation, we eventually know where we want to get them. We want to try to get them in our Privilege Partner Program. And you know, a couple of things we do that's different with that program that brokers absolutely love is they get a direct 800 number to our claims center, our group admin center, so there is no interactive voice response unit that kicks in. They get a live voice within the first 30 seconds of a phone call. So a lot of times the brokers, account managers, their analysts, they love just that simple feature of being able to call and talk to a live voice. So that's standard with the program. We do a lot of things around local support, local marketing dollars. We also try to obviously bring our brokers back to Des Moines. The Des Moines campus is impressive. People in Des Moines love seeing our brokers come through there. So a lot of perks that go with it, but we definitely see a difference in results, not only on the front end with sales with our privileged partners, but also the retention results on the back end of things. So it's been a great way for us to segment out our brokers and to continue to develop them, and obviously word travels. So it's nice when you're out meeting a new broker and they go, hey, I heard about this program, can you tell me more about it? So it's worked really well. To Sean's point, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've gotten really effective at campaigning around that strategy and bringing more and more brokers into it.
Yeah, I would say it's not about just acquiring business, as Chris said. It's about building a block of business, renewing that, growing that block of business. And what we found is the Platinum Partner Program and our Elites, which are the upper echelon of the program, the business is stickier, it's more profitable, and the partnerships continue on for multiple years. So it's really performing exactly how we wanted it to, which is great.
So if I were to ask you, kind of to talk to the brokers listening in on this, what would you ask from them, or what are you looking for, the dynamic outside of the obvious, right, placing the business, but
Right.
Are there any specific things that you would want to tell them to say, hey, this is how we want to build the relationship, and this is what are some of the key pillars behind that relationship that make it a win-win on both sides?
Yeah, I think it starts with just educating on this is where we play well. We're not going to be everything to everyone. But again, in that small to medium-sized business space, if you have a chunk of that business or that is your focus as an organization, that is where we play. And that's where we make it very efficient for you. So it's really about finding the right partner that fits what we do. It's not about, I can write all of your business, we're going to be the most competitive, and we're going to give you the best service. The latter is a given. Again, we joke sometimes and say, we're never the lowest price. Only sometimes, right, Chris?
Only sometimes.
Right. Once in a while we have to be, but not always. So it's more about bringing the value and the services, and then talking about the Platinum program and what that brings and how we can create a different experience for you if we're in a deeper partnership. So that's kind of where the conversation goes.
Ken, I do think that in the small group market in Southern California in particular, a lot of our brokers feel somewhat abandoned by a lot of the other carriers we used to compete against. We talked earlier about the ACA, and I think that's where there was a little bit of a pivot by carriers to decide to make investments in large group. Product-wise, sales-wise, there's carriers, when you deal under 50 or 100 lives, you don't get to work with your local sales rep.
Right.
And so I think at principal, when you talk about one of our value props, we have many, would be the local service model. So in Southern California, as an example, we have 7 full-time sales reps, but there's 23 sales support and account managers that support the sales reps in the local market. So when you think about quoting a case, enrolling a case, submitting a case, renewing it, adding lines of coverage at renewal, all that stuff that goes into it, we do it locally. And I think brokers in our market love the fact that they can be on a first name basis, and when we do it right with a broker, our local sales office knows the broker's local office. And so there's a great collaboration, comfort level. We know how they do business, they know how we do business, and it leads to a lot of sales and a lot of good business together. And so I think in the Southern California market, and I'd say probably in any market for principal, that's one of the lead things the reps are talking about today in the marketplace. It's changed a lot, and I think in many ways, being old school has definitely become a differentiator for us in the marketplace.
Taking that a step further about relationships, because we're in a relationship business. End of the day, that is what it comes down to. And I think we have a really good working relationship with you. Our reps work well with your reps. Talk to the brokers about how you view the relationship working with LiSi and the advantages it brings to brokers and to you as a company.
Yeah. I think, like we talked about earlier, we've had such a long-term relationship with LiSi, and it continues to get better. And part of it, a large part of it, is the relationship aspect. Our goal at Principal would be to duplicate our talk track with the LiSi sales reps. So they're talking the same language, and quite honestly, they are. The LiSi reps are very effective at talking about our dental point of service product, talking about the claim savings involved, talking about our pooled renewal strategy. We try to invest as much time as available with each other, so we know what you do and you know what we do well. And I think that's, I hate to use the word collaboration a lot, but I think in the perfect business environment, when you have great collaboration, it just leads to great overall results. So it's been a great run so far. I'm excited to see what 2020 and beyond holds for us.
And soon to be with the API relationship coming soon, which will, I think, really help process business, help us work together, and get things on the books quicker.
Absolutely. Yes.
Perfect. Going back and thinking about the broker, your relationship, what you're looking for, there's been a lot of M&A going on in the broker world. How do you view larger agencies to small agencies in your segmentation approach? Advantages to one or the other?
I think maybe Sean, you want to answer
Yeah,
that
no,
for starters.
And I've commented this on before, and with all the M&A taking place, it's creating much larger entities that we have to navigate through. So what we're trying to do is stick to, again, what we do best. So going into that new potential relationship, when maybe part of it was existing before, but now it's a bigger entity, and still saying, we know what we do well, Principal, as an organization. Let us be that to that segment for you, that small business segment. We'll be the player there, even in the medium space. And they know what we do well. So we could just continue down sticking to what we know what we do. And it's, again, not about trying to be everything to everyone. And it's worked for us. It's an environment I've never seen before, the amount of M&A. You could even take that over on the carrier side in the ancillary space, same thing.
Yeah.
But we're just making sure we have the right relationships in place and we're telling the right message. So,
yeah, I think it's creates channel conflict. I think about some of the M&As that have gone on. Challenges, right?
Challenges and channels.
Yes, exactly. And we try to be as flexible as possible. I think there's some agencies out there that do a tremendous amount of business that just aren't the right fit for Principal. And then there's others, we tend to kind of lean towards the smaller agency independent firms, but those are getting gobbled up today, right? So we have to pivot, and I think being flexible is a big part of that. I feel like, again, not to beat up on the word value prop, but there's so many different value props we have in the marketplace to talk about, and technology tends to be the big one today. I think strategically, as salespeople, we've had to kind of change our way of talking to brokers, and it's not all about product anymore. We got to get good at technology. We got to understand the broker's pain points and what they're going through, and be able to consult with them on it. And that's one of the big things we try to push for at Principal, is not just to talk about product, but also talk about technology and the different platforms, and having a good understanding of that in the marketplace makes a difference.
Thinking about product and technology, which can be a blessing and it can be sometimes a curse, especially if you have people trying to create technology that allows folks to choose a variety of, if you want to call it customizable, but maybe not. You can look at cookie cutter type products, solutions going out. You can look at more customized solutions, and you guys have both. How have you been able to integrate that into your vision or roadmap for technology? And how's that working?
Yeah. Ease of business, again, I'll say, is so important. And so depending upon your audience and what the broker's looking for, we can pivot either way. I mean, coming up with canned a plan A, B, and C, or a gold, silver, bronze plan, we can certainly do that. I think, though, one of the things brokers love hearing is our customization of products down to 3 lives. We kind of joke, we bring Fortune 100 benefits down to a 3-life case.
Yeah, that's huge.
But having that ability, not only is it cool to say up front, but a lot of times you can drill into what are the issues with the carrier in the case, like where are their pain points? And because we have so much flexibility in the plan designs, we can usually address that for the broker. So it kind of goes both ways. Most brokers are used to small group being very cookie cutter. Having that ability to customize gives us a leg up, I feel like, and for the right broker, it matters.
And I had heard that from some other company, taking large group benefits on the ancillary side and bring them into the small group market. Oh, CoPower, that's right, yeah.
I've heard of them.
Cool. Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's talk about the small group market. Obviously, it's your core. That's our core. What do you see in some of the dynamics that's helping you or challenges that you're looking at over the next year or two?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, that's why we have such a great relationship, is we're focused in the same marketplace,
Exactly.
right? Secondly, if you think about that small to medium-sized business space, that's where all the growth opportunity is, right? There's 6 million small businesses in the United States, and unfortunately, half of them actually have benefits.
Right.
70% of them are under 100 lives. If you think about the opportunity there, and I'd say we've done a poor job of educating the consumer. We're doing a much better job than we have in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to start educating the consumer on the importance of protecting your income, whether it's life insurance, whether it's disability insurance. Maybe buy that before you buy dental, right? Although we like when they buy dental.
Right.
But still, it's that opportunity that's out there, and to get away from the passing of business and start after the new marketplace opportunity.
Would you say from generational shifts coming in that you're seeing a different demand for different types of products, or is it consistent?
I don't think we're seeing it yet flow
Okay.
through because, again, it's so underpenetrated. Now, there is a little different appetite for some of the other ancillary products
Okay.
that are getting some pickup through potential the millennial business owners.
Uh-huh.
But we're not quite seeing it yet run through in our block. On the good news for us is that in the past year, about 25% of our business is new business, which is great, which is
Right.
up. It's not up to the point we want it to be, but we're making some progress.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is driving that? New brokers coming into the market? I mean, there's some, but I don't see.
Yeah,
not like they used to have group schools and stuff where brokers came in busloads.
Right. Well, one good thing is the economy's been good.
True.
Right?
True.
So when the economy's good, there's opportunity to obviously make those purchasing decisions
Mm-hmm.
by the business owner. So I think some of that's played into it in the last year or
Virgin
two.
business coming in and picking up
Yeah.
coverage?
Definitely.
Fantastic.
You know, look at where the voluntary marketplace has gone.
Yeah.
Again, more opportunity to offer these products and solutions and not necessarily directly come out of the budget of the small business.
Correct. What about, Sean, that you're seeing, whether with Ron up in the north or you down in the south, any new dynamics in the small group market for specialty?
I think the challenge and opportunity for us in California is to go after that business. There's a lot of brokers that have standalone medical, right?
Yep.
And how do we not only educate, but show them how easy it is and the revenue opportunities that come with it by adding voluntary? I mean, I think that's definitely one of our growth tracks.
Yeah.
The other growth track is obviously finding the brokers we don't work with today, which is why we rely on partnerships like we have with LiSi. Is there's a lot of brokers out there that don't work with Principal. How do we find those brokers? How do we get to them?
Yeah, I'd add, Chris, you know, even our existing brokers that we have relationships with, a lot of times they don't know all that Principal offers outside of just group benefits, right? Outside of our group products, our individual disability, our individual life, our non-qualified solution, our business owner solutions, and that's just in our U.S. insurance, I'll call it a silo.
Right.
That's not even going across into our retirement space and our investment space. There's so much more that we offer. We need to do a better job, and we are, about educating the intermediary about all those opportunities.
And it's a challenge. You think about it. I mean, even from our RSM perspectives on how many products there are coming down. When you're looking at mid-market, small group, all of the medical carriers, all the specialty. Now you're getting into the payroll, the HR, et cetera, HRAS. There's a lot of products for folks to know, and it's challenging being a broker. I mean, are you a P&C broker? Are you a financial broker? Are you a benefits broker? It's a lot of hats to wear. So
No,
I
I
think
understand.
that will be one of the biggest opportunities, not only for the employee and their understanding of what's available to them, but for the broker on how do you share this information. Fortunately, I think you guys hit it right on the head, is technology is going to be a great platform to share some of this educational springboards. Fantastic. Let me ask you this. What got you guys into the business?
You want to go first?
Sure, I'll start. So, coming from Chicago, that's where I grew up, went to school there, got out of college. I interviewed every possible sales job in the city of Chicago. And this is back in the day where you're selling like telephone systems and goofy stuff like that.
Pagers.
Gallo wine.
Pagers, totally. I stumbled upon this ad in the paper, right? That's how long ago this was. And it said, you know, like group insurance, high commission opportunity, competitive base salary. And I'm like, group insurance, that sounds pretty interesting. I'll go check this out. Sure enough, it was great. At least what it looked like from the interview process. And I took the job, and that got me into the group insurance space.
Okay.
That was it. It was with a company called Confederation Life, Canadian company.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was good. It's been
Have
a
you
good
seen
run.
it evolve over the last couple of years?
Something's working, right?
You don't have to
Knock
answer
on
that,
wood.
but yeah.
Things are going okay.
Excellent. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, so my path was a little bit different. I actually am one of those few people you'll meet that actually knew insurance was what I wanted to get into.
Really?
So I
Took that in college, did you?
I majored in risk management insurance at the University
did.
of Georgia. So yeah, I didn't know I was going to get on the group insurance path, but I had a high school buddy who majored at same degree from Georgia, started a year before I did, and got on the group rep side. He said, "This is a great gig. He goes, you'll love it." And so I started in '91, and honestly, to this day, I still love it. I love the business. I love the people. So it's been a great experience.
That is unique. Somebody who knew they were going into insurance. I mean, you can ask a room of 100 brokers,
Yeah.
no one will raise their hand.
No, it's usually accidental,
So-
right?
That's fantastic. So living in two areas that have big sports teams in it, who are your teams and what are you predicting?
Oh boy. So I'm guilty of jumping on the Rams bandwagon. I wasn't a big fan in days past when they recruited Todd Gurley, University of Georgia grad, great running back. That got me excited watching what Jared Goff's done, where they ended last year. It's a little bit disappointing in the finish, but I'm predicting still they're going to come back. A lot of expectation on that team. We'll see where it all goes, but I'm definitely a Rams fan.
Gotcha. Sean?
I'm in like the greatest sports city,
Yes, you are.
except for maybe last year it got a little tough.
It's a great city for sports. Didn't say you have a lot of pennants, but you.
No. Cubs got a little soft. Bears not off to a great start. But, you know, I still have hope. I'm a fair weather fan, I'll admit it.
There you go.
So as soon as they get on a hot streak, I'll be the first guy out there cheering.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Absolutely.